It's a monster. He's evil.
We were under his spell.
I was groomed since I was...
For decades, the world saw Michael Jackson as the greatest entertainer who ever lived. The moonwalk, the music, the screams from millions of fans. To the public, he was magic. But behind the gates of Neverland, another story was quietly growing in the shadows. A story hidden for nearly 25 years. A story involving one family, 5 children, and secrets they say destroyed their lives forever. Because according to the Casio family, the man the world called the King of Pop was living a double life, and they claim almost nobody saw it coming. Back in the 1980s, Michael Jackson was untouchable. He wasn't just famous, he was larger than life. Albums were breaking records, stadiums were selling out in minutes. Fans fainted just looking at him. There was simply nobody bigger. And during the height of that fame, Michael Jackson formed an unlikely friendship with an ordinary Italian-American family from New Jersey, the Casios. At first, it felt surreal. Imagine being a child, and suddenly, the biggest celebrity on earth is showing up at your house late at night, bringing gifts, amusement park trips, even his pet chimpanzee, Bubbles. To the Casio children, it felt like a dream. Michael Jackson treated them like family. He laughed with them, traveled with them, invited them backstage, flew them around the world on private jets. The children say he made them feel special, chosen. And slowly, he became part of their everyday lives. The family trusted him completely. That trust would later become the center of a nightmare. They say none of them understood while living through it. Because according to the Casios, behind the fame and kindness was years of manipulation, grooming, and psychological control. And the most disturbing part? None of the siblings knew the others were allegedly experiencing the same thing. Each child believed they were the only one. That's how powerful they say Michael Jackson's influence was. At the time, nobody questioned it. The world saw Michael Jackson as a man who simply loved children. He built Neverland Ranch like a fantasy kingdom. Rides, animals, candy stores, movie theaters. To fans, it looked innocent, but the Casio family now claims Neverland was something much darker. They describe private rooms, secret meetings, emotional manipulation disguised as love. One by one, the siblings began sharing horrifying allegations years later as adults. They say Michael Jackson normalized behavior they were too young to understand. The children were showered with gifts, attention, affection, and emotional dependency. According to them, he created a world where loyalty to him became everything. And over time, they say fear replaced excitement. One of the most emotional parts of the story is how deeply attached the children became to Michael Jackson. Not because of fame alone, but because they believed he loved them. That emotional connection would later leave scars lasting decades. The Casios describe Michael Jackson as someone who constantly reinforced secrecy. They claim he convinced them that outsiders would never understand their relationship, that the media was evil, that the world wanted to destroy him, that they had to protect him at all costs. And for years, they did exactly that. Even when rumors around Michael Jackson grew louder in the 1990s, the Casios defended him publicly. When accusations from other families appeared in headlines, the children say they believed Michael Jackson's version of events completely, that everyone accusing him was lying, that he was the victim. Looking back now, they say they were psychologically conditioned to think that way. And this is where the story becomes even more unsettling, because according to the siblings, Michael Jackson allegedly rehearsed situations with them. They claim he would role-play as police officers or investigators, asking questions they might hear someday. Questions about inappropriate behavior, questions about secrecy, questions about whether he had touched them. The children say he trained them on exactly how to answer. Always deny everything, always protect him, always stay loyal. That level of psychological control stayed with them long after childhood ended. Even after Michael Jackson died in 2009, they still couldn't fully process what had happened. Some of them continued defending him publicly. That's what shocked many people the most. Years after his death, members of the Casio family even appeared on television praising Michael Jackson and denying he had ever harmed them. At the time, they say they still believed silence was necessary. They were terrified, confused, emotionally trapped by years of manipulation. And then came the turning point. In 2019, the documentary Leaving Neverland exploded across the world. This film featured detailed allegations from Wade Robson and James Safechuck against Michael Jackson. For millions watching, it was controversial. But for the Casio siblings, it was life-changing, because suddenly, they were hearing stories almost identical to their own. Same patterns, same language, same manipulation. And for the first time in their lives, they realized they were not alone. One of the brothers finally gathered the courage to tell his family the truth. He admitted he had been abused. Then something unbelievable happened. One by one, the other siblings admitted the same thing. Each of them had allegedly carried the secret alone for years. Imagine that moment. An entire family discovering they had all been silently living with the same trauma. The emotional weight of that realization shattered them. Some blamed themselves for not protecting the others. Some struggled with guilt for defending Michael Jackson publicly for years. Others admitted they still felt emotionally conflicted because of how much they once idolized him, and that's what makes this story so disturbing. The Casios don't describe Michael Jackson as a stranger. They describe him as someone they loved, someone they trusted, someone who became part of their identity growing up. That emotional confusion is something many abuse survivors talk about, especially when manipulation begins in childhood. Meanwhile, outside the family, Michael Jackson's legacy only kept growing. His music streamed by millions, his videos celebrated online, tribute shows, new fans, new documentaries, and eventually, a major Hollywood biopic. To the Casios, watching the world celebrate Michael Jackson again felt unbearable because they say the public only sees the performer, not the person they claim existed behind closed doors. Today, Michael Jackson remains one of the most controversial celebrities in history. Some people believe the allegations completely. Others passionately defend him and point to the fact that he was never convicted of child abuse. That debate has divided fans for decades and likely will continue for many more. But what cannot be denied is the emotional impact these allegations continue to have on the people involved. The Casio siblings now say they are speaking publicly because they no longer want silence to control their lives. They say the fear Michael Jackson allegedly created stayed with them into adulthood. Relationships suffered. Mental health suffered. Their childhood memories became painful reminders instead of happy moments. Even family photographs now feel haunting to them. Pictures that once captured excitement and joy now remind them of manipulation they say nobody around them could see at the time, and perhaps the most tragic part of all. They say they genuinely believed Michael Jackson cared about them. That's why they protected him for so long. That's why they stayed silent, and that's why breaking free took decades. The story has now become larger than celebrity culture, larger than music, larger than fame. It's become a conversation about power, influence, trauma, and how easily public image can hide private darkness. Because when someone becomes bigger than life itself, people stop questioning them. And according to the Casios, that silence allowed terrible things to remain hidden for years. To this day, Michael Jackson still inspires millions around the world. His songs remain legendary. His performances remain iconic. His influence on music may never be matched, but alongside that legacy, there is another story that refuses to disappear. A story filled with pain, secrecy, fear, and unanswered questions. And whether people believe the allegations or not, one reality remains impossible to ignore. Behind the glittering image of one of the world's biggest superstars, real people say they are still trying to heal from what they experienced as children. And for the Casio family, the hardest part was never speaking out. It was surviving the silence for so long. Because sometimes the darkest stories aren't hidden behind closed doors. Sometimes, they're hidden behind the brightest spotlight in the world.